For instance, we can get poor people to vote against their own health care access. I wonder how.
All right, the Associated Press calling Medicaid's health overhaul's early success story. Look at that headline. But how could you call it a success story?
But essentially, this is a gigantic new entitlement program with runaway costs. I don't call that a success.
So when people sign up for a free program to get free access, that is not considered, I don't think, on anyone's ledger a success story.
That is some evil shit, Fox. I'm seriously impressed. In Missouri, Medicaid expansion was rejected by a majority of voters in every rural county in the state, including areas that have high rates of poverty and high uninsured rates. Hilarious. Despite the fact that many of these communities would appear to benefit greatly from expansion, and counties that rejected expansion have rates of poverty and uninsured rates that are higher than those of Kansas City and St. Louis. Now, before you say, there we go again, a giant tax drain to pay for liberal cities, I quote, Medicaid expansion would actually disproportionately benefit the rural areas, says Dr. Karen Maddox. We actually calculate that on a per capita basis, more money would go to rural areas than urban areas, end quote, bitch. Yeah, turns out that's where the highest rates of the uninsured are, in Fox America. And rural hospitals don't have funding, which means if they close, Americans in the 21st century would have to hop in a pickup truck and go miles into town just to find a hospital, like you live in rural Kandahar or something. Which makes sense, because Republicans now believe in child soldiers roaming the streets. That's because Republicans don't want to make America great. They want to make America Afghanistan again. All of this regressive Republican thinking has led to extreme deregulation in fields of public health access, and this has hurt nobody more than Fox America. Red states are literally dying to own the libs. Life expectancy is 3 years less for men and 2 years less for women in red states than it is blue states. That gap is enough to put life expectancy in red states in line with so-called third world caravan countries like Guatemala and Nicaragua. You don't gotta worry about immigrants coming to West Virginia, okay? The life expectancy is shit as it is at home, the weather sucks, and the ladies have skinny white girl asses. Taken together, the United States has the worst life expectancy out of the entire first world, specifically because of Republican policies in red states. I mean, there's no better proof that Republican policies kill people than the Republican policies that actually kill people. Yeah, it turns out modern health and labor laws aren't communist. They protect people from having the life expectancy of child coal miners in Sierra Leone and actually make capitalism sustainable by allowing people to live a dignified life. I mean, fuck that. That's why there's a Labor Day in the first place. But nobody talks about what hurts Fox America, let alone Fox itself, okay? We just get them to talk about shit like this.
The start of it was through Obamacare and the healthcare dynamic of taking a pill instead of having a surgery because it was cheaper.
That's right.
But then also, now, in order to deal with this, 90% of the opioids, the fentanyl, the synthetic that is coming into this country is from Mexico, is from the southern border. It's a combination of Chinese influence as well.
Again, according to Fox, the reason for declining life expectancy rates has nothing to do with healthcare access. It's Obamacare for encouraging pill popping, Mexican cartels, and why not, fuck it, the Chinese. That's just lazy. That's not even trying. Like, who farted? Was it you or was it the dog? No, Todd, it was the fucking Chinese. Again, it doesn't matter that this shit is completely bonkers and none of it comes true. Fox's own lawyers argue in court that Fox isn't news, and yet 60% of Republicans rely on it, and 42% will literally believe anything it says. Let me put it this way. What do Republicans and the Taliban have in common?
Certainly 9/11 first responders shouldn't have to decide whether to live or to have a place to live. And the idea that you can only give them 5 more years of the VCF because you're not quite sure what's going to happen 5 years from now, well, I can tell you, I'm pretty sure what's going to happen 5 years from now. More of these men and women are going to get sick and they are going to die. And I am awfully tired of hearing that it's a 9/11 New York issue. Al-Qaeda didn't shout death to Tribeca.
If you think they don't give a shit about 9/11 first responders, do you think they'll care about you?
You're saying that if you can't afford it, you don't get to have it, and that includes health care.
Yeah, just like if I want to go to the store and buy a new dress shirt, if I can't afford that dress shirt, I don't get to get it.
But health care is something that people need, especially if they have cancer.
Well, you gotta find a way to get it.
And this from a first world country. It's a literal policy of death. No wonder Republican life expectancy is far less. One America's like Finland with AR-15s and school shootings, and the red states are like Georgia, the country, not the state, but also with AR-15s and school shootings. The GOP is so extreme it's filtered into bad policy at every level and led to two Americas. Fox America and First World America. And it's not just life expectancy. In nearly every way that matters. If you separate the way non-conservative and conservative policies apply, conservative policies lead to third world standards, while non-conservative policies track with the rest of the industrialized and wealthy first world. Fox Nation thinks America's developed like this when it's actually developed like this. Well, I know what you're thinking. Republicans make the money in this country, right? They believe in business. They're self-dependent. Wrong. Red states make up 8 of the top 10 states with the highest reliance on federal government and 19 of the top 25. Household income in red states lower, living standards lower, education lower, and again the very length of your life lower. In fact, when broken down state by state, blue states overall have a living standard on par with Netherlands, while the red states, I shit you not, are more in line with Russia. Duh! Okay, well, what about crime? Let's say crime, right? Dem states and cities are overrun with crime. Wrong again. According to the FBI, 7 of the top 10 highest crime states are run by Republicans. Republican policies even lead to more abortions by cutting access to contraceptive and education programs, like the one they killed in Colorado that had resulted in 50% less abortions in just 2 years. I mean, no wonder the abortion rate drops more dramatically during Democratic administrations than it does Republican. In nearly every way Republicans say they care, they don't. And not only that, they're fucking their voters' lives in every way that matters. Without the partisan divide that Fox is responsible for, Republicans wouldn't have been able to promote policies that were increasingly further and further to the right and increasingly more and more destructive. Remember the profound way Fox was able to influence elections.